The man who disappeared for 30 years and returned the same age. In 1991, Henry McCoy was living a normal life in a small town in Oregon, USA. He was 28 years old, working as a software engineer, and had a stable life with his fiancée, Linda, whom he was set to marry in a few months. Henry was well liked by his friends and family, with no known enemies or issues. The mysterious disappearance. On the evening of November 12, 1991, Henry left his home to buy some groceries from a nearby store. He put on his winter coat and told his fiancée he wouldn't be long. The night was cold, and the streets were nearly empty. About 20 minutes later, Henry reached the store, bought a few things, and then headed home. But he never made it back. When Henry failed to return, Linda grew worried and called his landline, but there was no answer. She decided to go out and look for him, walking the usual path he took. But there was no sign of him anywhere. A few hours later, she contacted the police to report his disappearance. A large-scale search began, and store employees were questioned, but no one had seen anything unusual. Surveillance cameras in the area showed nothing that could explain his fate. His car was still parked at home, his wallet was missing. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Days, weeks, and months passed, but there was no trace of him. Investigators explored every possibility. Was he the victim of a crime? Did he run away? Was there an accident? But there was no answer. The shocking return, 30 years later. On the morning of November 12, 2021, exactly 30 years to the day, a man appeared in front of an old house in town, looking completely confused. He was wearing the exact same clothes as the day he disappeared and was holding the same grocery bag he had purchased from the store. But the most shocking part? He looked exactly the same, as if time had never passed. Henry was still 28 years old, with no signs of aging. When he knocked on the door, he found strangers living there. His old fiancée, Linda, had sold the house years ago after giving up hope of his return. The police were called, and soon, news of his impossible return spread across town. When authorities questioned him, they asked, "Where have you been all these years?" His answer only deepened the mystery. Henry said he had only been gone for a few minutes. He remembered walking home, then suddenly feeling dizzy as the world around him turned into darkness. The next thing he knew, he was back in the same place, but everything looked slightly different. The buildings were older, the cars were unfamiliar, and the people were strangers. He had no idea that he had been missing for 30 years. The mysterious investigation. Henry was subjected to medical tests, and the results were shocking. There were no signs that he had aged beyond 28. His DNA and cells showed no aging process. He had no health issues, no malnutrition, nothing abnormal. The police reopened his case, but there was no evidence explaining where he had been all these years. There were no records of him using his ID, no proof that he had lived anywhere else. When Henry was reunited with Linda, now a 60-year-old woman, she broke down in tears. She couldn't believe that the man she once loved had not changed, while she had aged 3 decades. Scientists began forming bizarre theories. Did Henry unknowingly step through a time portal? Was he abducted by aliens and later returned? Was he part of a secret government experiment? Did he enter another dimension where time stopped? But there were no definitive answers. The second disappearance, a terrifying mystery. After his unbelievable return, Henry became the center of attention. Police, scientists, the media, and even ordinary people all wanted to know what had happened. But despite all the curiosity, Henry was not happy. He felt a strange presence around him, as if something was watching him, waiting for the right moment to take him back. He started experiencing strange phenomena. Sometimes, when he looked in the mirror, his reflection lagged behind his movements by a fraction of a second. The lights in his room would flicker randomly, as if responding to his presence. Some nights, he would hear whispers in his ear, and when he turned around, no one was there. Henry realized that his return was not the end of his story, but the beginning of something even more terrifying. The second disappearance, caught on camera. 2 months after his return, Henry asked his close friend to set up a camera to record him 24/7. He had a deep feeling that something unnatural was going to happen again. Then, on a cold night, January 23, 2022, the most bizarre moment in history was recorded. At 3:12 a.m., Henry's body started shaking violently, as if suffering from a seizure. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open, but they were completely black. He started breathing heavily, as if struggling against an invisible force pulling him away. Then, in less than a second, he vanished. But the scariest part? When his body disappeared, the microphone recorded a chilling whisper. "Not yet, but we will take him again." The voice was eerie, not Henry's, and no one else was in the room. When the police and scientists analyzed the footage, they found no logical explanation. The force that took Henry the first time had returned to claim him once more. Will Henry ever return again? Since that night, Henry McCoy has never been seen again. No traces, no clues, just like the first time. But the question that terrified everyone: if Henry returned after 30 years the first time, will he return again? And if he does, will he still be the same age? Or will he bring terrifying secrets from wherever he went? No one knows the answer, but one thing is certain. Henry's story is far from over. What do you think? Do you believe there are hidden forces controlling time? Or was Henry a victim of a secret experiment? If you want more mysteries and chilling stories, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode. And if you're brave enough, leave a comment with your thoughts. Do you think Henry will return again? Or is he gone forever? See you in the next story, if you're still here.